Good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing great. On the behalf of Academic and Career Council PG, I warmly welcome you all for this Marie Curie Fellowship series, episode 1. Today's session is focused on something extremely valuable for everyone aiming for global research opportunities. Now, let me introduce our esteemed speaker for today. We are delighted to have Dr. Priyank Singhvi with us. Dr. Singhvi is a recipient of the prestigious Marie Curie Postdoctoral Fellowship at TU Wien, Austria. His work focuses on bioprocess engineering, protein chemistry, and enzyme biotechnology, with a strong emphasis on translating research into scalable solutions. He completed his PhD from the National Institute of Immunology, New Delhi, and has also worked as a postdoctoral researcher at Charles University, Prague. Beyond research, he is a passionate science communicator and runs the YouTube channel Being Scientist, where he guides students on research careers and fellowships. Today, he will be sharing insights not just about the fellowship, but also about how to strategically approach proposal writing, something many of us struggle with. So, without further delay, let's welcome Dr. Priyank Singhvi with us. Sir, the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Aman, and thank you, Par, for inviting me for this talk. And I'm super excited to be here. And I hope the session could be of some value to you as well. So, before I start, it is the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Action Postdoctoral Fellowship. In short, we call it MSCA-PF. So, this is what you will find everywhere. And as I said, thank you very much for this Academic and Career Council of postgraduate IIT Kanpur for this talk. And yeah, so now we are going to talk about this Marie Curie Fellowship, about the different aspects like what should be the strategy, what should be the proposal writing, and how can you gather the opportunity and everything. So let me just start one by one. Okay, so before you think anything about writing whatever the proposal you want to ask, or whatever the proposal you want to do, you need to find your own why. So I will keep giving you my own examples. How did I find my own why? What's the reason that's the which will keep you going on? So that could be multiple reasons, I'm just assuming, but you have to find whether the existing prof is kind of toxic to you and you just want to leave the lab, or you just want to earn the money in Europe, or you just want to gather some new skill sets, or you want to just travel Europe, or you want to have some kind of fellowship which can give you an edge in the career, and that could set you apart from rest of the postdoctoral fellowship. So you could have any of them. Personally speaking, in my case, the major reason was the place where I was working. I wasn't, my supervisor wasn't really good, and I just wanted to leave the lab. Also, there was no skill set which was gaining at that point of time. I can assure you that it can give you almost everything what I show you here, and that's what you need to find. Why do you want to pursue it? And I'm asking this particularly because this it is going to be very long that you will be taking this path of writing the fellowship. It could be very demotivating, very frustrating, very doubtful. And if you're not clear why are you writing this fellowship, I'm almost pretty much sure that you would give up in between. So make sure that before you start, you need to know what is that emotional reason due to which, or the professional reason due to which you want to have this. So now let's move back to the second thing, and that is the belief. So even if you think that, okay, my reason is clear, that, okay, I want to have this fellowship, but the thing which comes into the mind is that is the self-doubt whether I can really do it or not. The same thing which also came into my mind when I was looking for this kind of fellowship initially, till the time I did not gather the facts. So let me show you some small fact, which is like IIT entrance exam, if you know, it is like acceptance rate is usually 0.3% or something. I was also an IIT alumni, like I was in IIT Bombay, and I knew that I had cracked this IIT Bombay with this IIT, this acceptance rate. But when I got to know from the simple clicks on the Google, like how much is the MSCA PF or Marie Curie Fellowship acceptance rate, So it was almost 10%, 10 to 15%, roughly speaking. And when I got to know this, when the belief that maybe I can't do it turned out to be like I can do it. Why? Because I understood that it is like 300 times less competitive than IIT entrance. And I am sure if you are in IIT Kanpur, you must have been there after a lot of competition and everything. And if you're already there, so you should always believe that there is no way that Marie Curie Fellowship, despite people say that it is one of the toughest fellowships, it is going to be more difficult than your own IIT exam. So it is okay. Yeah, it is very difficult from European perspective, from the world perspective, because the world looks at that way, like acceptance rate 10% is kind of quite low. But you are already in IIT, I was already in IIT, so you shouldn't believe this thing. Okay. Next, so expected timeline. This is very important to keep it in mind before we start, because let's say you decide to write for this fellowship and you don't know how much time will it take. Maybe because it's kind of pure gamble. You are trying to write it, but you don't know when will you eventually get it, or whether you even get it or not. You invest your time and you don't know whether you will even get it or not. So for that reason, you should be very clear in your mind that the preparatory phase, so I will divide it in the three phases. By the time from the time you will start preparing till the time you will be actually in the lab, if you at the end of the day you eventually get it. So in such a case, I would say the preparatory phase, which takes like 3 to 4 months and which requires like selection of host lab, identification of research problem, and proposal writing. In the second phase is the evaluation phase. So for example, this fellowship starts somewhere around in the April, and then it ends somewhere around the September, in the mid of the September. And from mid of the September to around mid of the February, there is nothing that you can do much about it. So you just have to be silent, and you just have to just wait for the results, that it will turn out to be in your favor. And eventually this is like pre-joining phase, the kind of phase where you will be joining. You will not be joining, but you will be going through some grant agreement, you will be having the host agreement, and after this host agreement you will be applying for the visa, and everything will take again 4 to 5 months. So in my case, I had started somewhere around like end of the May or June of 2023. It is started somewhere around April 2023. It was announced in April 2023. Usually it always starts somewhere around April each year. And then like I started looking forward to May 2023. By mid of September 2023, I could submit it. And then I just waited for another 5 months. In mid of the February 2024, I got the results. And from mid of the February 2024 to almost like I would say June or July, I got the visa in my hand. So this entire process took almost I would say 1 year. So make sure that if you are writing this proposal, it's gonna take a lot of time. You should be having something in your hand, or you should be busy doing something else also. You cannot just rely on this. You don't know whether you will get cut off from, you will at the end of the day you will get the results around after 8 months, and then you cannot be like I just waited for this fellowship and this fellowship gave me nothing. Entire proposal went into the dustbin. So this is something that you will never like to be in, and this is what I wanted to tell you. So the next thing, which is like the preparatory phase, and in this entire talk I will not be talking much about this. Of course, this is something which I cannot do anything, and you will also not be able to do anything. This is also which is also taken care by your host institute, your supervisor. So here also you don't need to take care much, but here is something that governs almost everything, and that will decide whether you eventually see rest of the phases or not. So let's talk about in this conversation specifically about this preparatory phase. So I will just go one by one, and I will keep telling you some of the interesting points. So before you go ahead, we just know that what is the expectation we have and what is the reality. So this is something very interesting which I also came across when I was writing. This is like a research proposal. We try to say like we will build something like this and that, and eventually it could be something like this. But that doesn't mean that you will be writing something like this. You have to write something which looks good, at least on the paper. It should look practical, it should look it should look that it is achievable no matter what the end result is. And also I want to tell you, because I am almost on the verge of completion of this fellowship, people do not penalize if you do not achieve your results. Like, they do not say, okay, you didn't get the fellowship, you did get the fellowship, you propose something like something really super cool, something really nice, and at the end of the day you didn't achieve something, so you just give me the money back, or you just you will not get another fellowship or something. No, in fellowship, in Marie Curie fellowship, everyone understands that things can go wrong in the research, and you might have to deviate from your original path. You might be doing some really blunders and everything, but it's okay. So do not shy away from writing some really super fancy, some really super nice proposal, something that you believe that it can change the world. And it should not be written in a very, I would say, in a very low profile, not low profile, I would say low tone, like it may do something like this or something. No, you have to have conviction about it. We will talk about it later on, but let's go before the selection of the host lab. This is where most of the people get stuck, that which of the lab we should choose so that we could increase our chances of getting the success in the fellowship, in this Marie Curie fellowship. So I will just go one by one, and I will tell you my way. How did I get this host lab? So first thing, I will just give you the super quick clues for you. That could be like list of reviewers while submitting the article. I'm sure like you might have reached to the stage where you might be writing some article, or you might have written the article in the past, and there is always a point where you have to tell the people, the editor, which of the reviewers you might be interested in, and either you would have told or your supervisor would have told, and you might be knowing who all people are there in your field. And if they are from the European Union, it is better to contact them and ask for them, because they already know your work, what kind of work they have done, and they should be closely related to your work also. Another thing could be list of cited articles from your article and your PhD postdoc supervisor article. So in my case, this is the case which was happening. I got my host lab from this, because which the kind of papers which I had written and the kind of paper which was coming out from my lab, from my supervisor, they were already being cited by one of the professors in Austria, in TUV. And that's how I got to know about this guy. And for me it was very easy, because I was already in Prague, and like from Prague to Vienna, it was like hardly 3 to like 4 hours journey. So for me it was easy to even meet if I want, and this guy was kind of closely related. So this is the place where I got to know about my potential supervisor, my potential lab. So this is also something that you can try. Just look through your citations from your article or from your PhD postdoc article. Conference attendee. Maybe you would have attended some international conference either in India, or maybe in Europe or in USA, and that's where you will get to know about your potential host supervisor. Another could be very random, which could be like Google Chat GPT search, but personally I do not find this okay. But okay, this could also be the way if you have met neither, if you never know any of them. Another could be like cold contact. And yeah, if you already have some dream lab, which you know that this lab is doing really fantastic, so basically you should contact them. Maybe they might not have the position right away, but at the same time I can assure you, if you tell them that you are going to be there on your own fellowship, you would be writing your fellowship, basically nobody denies, because everyone wants to welcome someone who is coming on his own fellowship or on her own fellowship, simply because of the two reasons. First, they don't need to take care of your salary. They don't need to take care of the research funding, because you will be bringing the research money also on the board. Of course that is not really great money, but still you will be bringing some decent amount of the money. So nobody denies because of that one reason. Another reason is, in their career also, it is a kind of I would say it is kind of a very good thing to showcase somewhere that they have supervised someone, or they have guided someone who was a Marie Curie fellow. So in either of the cases, if you have already the dream lab in your mind, so do not shy away to write an email to them and ask them if they would be equally interested. They just need to give you some kind of agreement. Okay, I'm fine, I can do it, but you have to write your own proposal. And that's how you can go on writing your own proposal, and they can support you like something which could be like bare minimum, but it is still fine. At the end of the day, it is your proposal, it is your idea, and you have to see how to make it happen. Another very interesting thing, people often think that somebody who has published in some big journals or some big names should be involved, and that's how I can increase the chances. Just to give you my understanding, or just to give you practically my understanding, my boss never publishes something in like 10, 15, 20 impact factor paper. He never used to publish it. He still doesn't publish like this. Yes, the frequency of publication is really good, I wouldn't deny this, but it is not like in the range of really 15 or 20 impact factor journal. But still I chose him because he was closely related to my work. He also had some qualities which I didn't have, and he didn't have some qualities which I had. So this was kind of thing which I would like to tell you, that do not just think that, okay, if somebody is not publishing really high, so that means this European Union Fellowship or Marie Curie Fellowship, I can never imagine. I am the living example. I had got this fellowship despite having no real big boss on the board. And also at the same time, this guy, as I told you, this guy uh, did not deny to me, also simply because I was bringing the money and everything on the board. And last but not the least, this is meet if possible. In my case, I understand it was easy because from going from Prague to Vienna is like 4 hours away. But for you, if you are sitting in India, it may not be possible. But I hope if you already had the conference attendee, then you would have met already. Or maybe if you have a chance to attend a conference or something in the future, let's say you happen to be in Sweden and you think that your potential supervisor could be in, let's say, France. So do not shy away to go there and meet the person and check around what are the facilities there, what are the infrastructure there. This is what I did because I just met him for once before writing the proposal. I just sought around the possibilities of what kind of infrastructure does he have, how many people are there, how is his behavior, how are the people working in the labs, etc., etc. So these things you can only get to know when you meet someone. The behavior, the infrastructure, the behavior of others around you, everything. So better if you meet of the research problem. That is also very interesting, and I made the video on this, and I'm telling you all these things because this is the kind of problems often I've seen. People come to me when I had made the video about it on YouTube, and people come back to me and ask me about these kind of questions: how to identify the research problem, how to identify the lab. So I'm just kind of trying to tackle something which will not be there on typical Marie Curie template or proposal, and something that you will have to understand on your own or somebody else can tell you. So this is also something that many people struggle. And I just want to tell you that the problem should be real and relevant. What does it mean? The problem should not be hypothetical. It should not be just the figment of your own imagination that, okay, maybe this is the problem that world might be suffering, or you should not be biased towards that problem, that you are passionate about that problem, but let's say the world doesn't care about it, or world doesn't see it as a problem in the first place. So it shouldn't be like that. And at the same time, it is always better to keep the problem relevant. What do I mean by relevant is it should be it should be timely. Another thing is, and there is no substitute it, and that is read and read, this is very basic, everyone knows it, but usually what we end up doing is we just think that okay, maybe some chat gpt or something toolkit could help me. By the time I was writing, this chat gpt was not so much prevalent, so I was reading a lot of literature. What do I mean by literature? I mean by literature which is like a review article, some opinion article. So whenever you write, whenever you read a review article, there will be something which will tell you, okay, like up to this part, this much research has been done. And then they will be telling, okay, the expert of those fields will be telling, like the authors will be telling you, like this could be the new path for the research, or this could open the door to some really revolutionary thing or something. And that's where your idea is lying. That's where you should be thinking about that problem, that okay, the world is thinking in that direction, and I should also think in that direction. Another thing which you could read is, you could actually see if that problem is still lying around, whether it is still pertinent to the industry. If you are thinking about some translational research, if the industry has already gone to such level that that they still cannot solve it, so something that you have to read, not just the review article, not just the research article, but rather you have to read through all the relevant industries in which you think that this would be pertinent. Because the more you read, more you understand the problem, and then only you will be able to explain it better. And more you explain it better, the reviewer will understand it better. Important thing you need to understand is the reviewer may not be directly related to your own field. So it is always your responsibility to tell the reviewer in a very simplest language, and in the very precise language, because you have the limited 10-page word in which you have to write almost everything. So you just cannot be writing for like 20 or 30 pages, whatever you like. You have to write in a very concise format, in a very structured format, so that they understand it pretty well. And another thing which is like discuss, discuss, and discuss. There is no alternate to it. So I used to discuss with the people who were already in the industry. I used to discuss with the people who were already, if I already know them, then I would be writing to those review article people. Or if I don't know them, I will be kind of just asking them that why don't you think this could be a solution? Why do you propose this solution? How do you think about it? So try to discuss with the people who belong to your own field. Try to discuss with the people who belong to the industry. Try to discuss with the people who have already got Marie Curie Fellowship, if you already know someone. So they will tell you whether you are thinking in the right direction or not. Next comes the proposal writing. So this proposal writing the proposal writing consists of this excellence, impact, and implementation part. So basically, if 50%, 30%, and 20%. So basically, this is like you have to, as I was telling you this, you have to write everything in this 10 pages. And in 10 pages, it is like 50%. 50% weightage is given to excellence, and 30% to impact, and 20% to implementation. I will be telling you these things one after another. But just to give you a glimpse, I just want to tell you the excellence part is about what will you be doing, okay? And impact part is why you should be doing it from every perspective. And the implementation part is how you would be doing. So these three parts that you have to take care through these kind of excellence, impact, and implementation. Of course, there are many subcategories, and you can always download the template, which is always there on the Marie Curie Fellowship action. You can always see the latest template, but usually all these templates have these three common part, and then there are a lot of sub points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then impact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then implementation. So something like that. You can always see that. But the most important and the most interesting part I wanted to tell you is, as I was telling you from the very beginning, the why should be very clear for your own when you are writing the proposal, but the why should also be clear why this research is actually needed. And I believe that this is something that people do not take care much, impact and implementation part. Simply they think because excellence is something which holds 50% value, and they are also very much comfortable being a researcher they're also very much comfortable writing this part, because this involves a lot of technicalities and a lot of research problem, and something that they can always take care. But this is something many people try to many people do not try to write it very elaborately, or they do not know how much to convince the people. But this is where I would say the magic happens, in my opinion. I would just tell you a simple a video which just aligns with my philosophy. Just a simple video. Maybe you can see this video on the YouTube. I really like this talk. So this is something that you should watch. So this is what I wanted to tell you. If you could convince someone, the reviewer, that why is it important to have this proposal in successful, so that I could do something which could really revolutionize something, then only whatever the facts and figure you tell the people, okay, the reviewers, that okay, I will be doing like this and that, what is the novelty, he will be looking up to this part, and then he will be looking up to this part, okay, whether this can be really implemented in this university, in this host lab or something. But this is something where the gut decisions come from. And I am really I would say this is something that you should never underestimate this part in order to convince the reviewers. So the next we go for the excellence. So I will go one by one. So excellence is something like research problem, and you will be providing the scientific solution. That is the part of excellence. So I will just show you the example one after another. Okay. So this is just a simple chart where I say, okay, the problem is old, the solution is also old. So this is like our new climate plan, plant a tree. Who cares? The plan is, the problem is old. There is a climate change, and you provide the solution, plant a tree. Of course, I know you wouldn't be providing it just for the sake of understanding. I'm telling you, you may be provide if you provide something like this. This is a big red flag. You shouldn't be doing it. Nobody's gonna like it. People will say, okay, this is just ordinary. This is just an ordinary solution provided by someone who wants to work on some ordinary problem. So doesn't matter. Another thing, this could be another could be like the problem is old, but your solution is new. So this is what this is coming from my proposal. This is like we have a lot of lignin in the world, which is like a kind of waste, and industry does not know how to process this lignin, and they usually use this thermochemical processes, which are not environmental friendly. They are not using something which could be of economical value to them. So here comes my proposal, which says, okay, we have the lignin from the industry, and then we can prepare something with the enzymes which could chop off this big chunk of the lignin molecule, and which we can derive some really interesting and cool value added products which could be used in the multiple industries. So this is what I propose. So now I would say the problem was old, of course, because this lignin is there forever, like centuries, and people know it, but they don't know how to process it to this level. And this is where I propose the solution. So this is something that you can do. What was the novelty in the solution? I can tell you later the most novel part, but this is like problem is old, but the solution is new. Another thing could be like the example is problem is new, but the solution is old. For example, if the COVID is there, or let's say the something the world is in the tragedy, and the world is actually looking for some solution. So even if the solution is your solution is quite old, that you need to prepare the vaccine. Everyone knows that the vaccine is the solution for this kind of pandemic, but your problem is so much relevant, so much endangering, that if you have identified such a research problem that the world really wants to take care, then maybe your old solution might get the hit. But still, I would put it like a green, but not really, really green, but okay, light green. And the fourth, which is kind of, I would say, new problem and the new solution, I have put it like Yellow because this is like a high risk game where you might get something and you might not get something. So this is something you should go when you are very much confident about it. Let me just give you the example about it. So for example, the problem of this is the problem which India faced at some point of time when we were denied to have a technology of the cryogenic engines from the USA. USA basically denied it, and Russia couldn't give it to us. So basically, then this problem was new to us, that we faced this problem, and eventually this ISRO people developed their own indigenous technology through which this cryogenic engine could be there. And then rest is history. We have GSLV and whole lot of satellite vehicle which are already there in the ISRO. But on the flip side, if it could be something like this also, let's say the LPG cylinder is out of stock, or it's already not working, but you think that you can give some out of the way solution. It could be something like this, and people will see, ha, this can never work, or they will just throw off your research proposal right away. So make sure that this kind of new problem and new solution, when you are giving, you should have some credibility of, let's say, like your organization should have a credibility. In this case, let's say ISRO, the host lab you are going to join should have some kind of really great capability, basically. And your own research articles, your past research articles should add some credibility that you are actually capable enough to work on some new problem and to give some new solution which world has never seen before. So this is something I would say high risk, high reward thing. But yeah, if you do it, then it is really good. So then the most important thing about the excellence is that you should believe that the proposed solution will work. And why do I say that? Because this will reflect in your entire proposal, that okay, you do believe that this will work. You should you should have conviction, not overconfidence. And the conviction comes from the practical reality. When you have already read and discussed a lot, as I told you before, you should have a state of the art. That means there should be novelty involved, as I told you. In my case, when I propose the solution, of course, the enzymatic degradation, everyone knows that people, lignin can be degraded from the enzyme, but I use the component of the AI, because doing the protein engineering through AI is something that world wasn't doing much. And AI at that point of time, like back in 2023, it was still a buzzword. People didn't know much about it. They were still exploring. People are still exploring AI, I would say, but at that point of time, it was just like onset of AI era. And at that point of time, I said, from AI tool, I would develop an engineered enzyme, and this engineered enzyme will be degrading lignin in a very efficient manner, in a very sustainable manner. And at the same time, it will be having facing the harsh condition, or sustaining with the harsh conditions of the industrial effluent. So this is something that I had proposed. So as I said, my problem was old, but the solution was new. There should be some complementarity. So it should not be like you know everything and your supervisor doesn't know anything, or vice versa. There should be some complementarity, and this is what I showed. Like, this is something that I'm bringing on the board, and that's how my supervisor will get benefited, and my university will get benefited. But at the same time, I showed, okay, my university can benefit me in this way, and my supervisor's lab can benefit me in this way. So it should be a kind of mutualism. It should be like, I would say, complementarity. You should be able to complete each other in some way in order to achieve the larger goal which you have set forth in your excellence part. It should be environmental and economical friendly, because I would say, being in Europe for last 4 years, I would say people strongly believe in this environmental protection and everything. So the closer you get to this environmental thing, I would say, closer you get to to their heart. So it is always better to write something if your field allows. Of course, I understand if you are already in computer science, so of course there could be nothing like environmental friendly, but yeah, but if you are something like on the chemistry side, on biological science, writing something which could show that it largely meets the sustainable development goals of European Union at large, it would be really friendly. And if you could show how your process would be economical and how it could benefit the European Union's industries, so that could also give you the edge. Your excellence part, your solution part, or your the writing should not be too simple. When I'm saying it should not be too complicated, doesn't mean that it should be too simple. Let me just give you a quick example. You already know. So if somebody asks what is machine, if you write something like this, no, it's a strong no. You just cannot be so simplistic, and you just cannot say it like in a very simple language. You have to be technical, but also at the same time you don't need to be very technical. It's a kind of thin line, I would say, but you have to always think in the mind that the reviewer who is going to study or is going to read your article, read your proposal, will not be directly related to your field. And then the person, if you write too much technicality, the person will not understand, or he will just feel like, okay, I don't understand what is the impact, or how is he gonna do about it. So it's better not being too simple, and not to have many technical jargons like this. Make sure your reviewer is not doing something like what Amir Khan was doing in this. When you write too many technical jargons, it should not be very specific. What I mean to say is that if you're writing something, so you just give an overall idea. You just don't tell them, okay, I would be using this kind of rotation per minute, and then would be using this millimolar, and then you would be using this temperature and everything. So you don't need to be that specific, because if you already know, if you have already optimized all those kind of things, so what is the point of writing the research proposal if you already know what is the temperature, what is the pH, what is the salt concentration you are going to use? It's better that you already know, and then what's the point of having something novelty in that? Your own track record they will be asking, and make sure that you write your own story pretty well, that how did you reach to how what have you done before, what has been your journey, how challenging has it been. If you are from IIT, so I am sure that you would be having some great track record, and you will be telling them, okay, how did you crack such an entrance exam, how did you crack this and that, and how did you find this field fascinating, how did you find your supervisor very complimentary to what you want to achieve in your life, and everything. You have to tell your supervisor's track record also, because they need to believe that, okay, if we find, they say, okay, we find you super awesome, you are a super achiever in your life and everything. But let's say if your supervisor's track record is like he doesn't publish much, or he's seen nowhere, then it is also like, okay, we think your mentor is not capable enough that such a big project can be handled. So make sure you have something like this, and then this comes this excellence part. I just wanted to tell you the example which you have already seen. So basically, uh, I had shown something like this kind of like graphical abstract that you can also include in your own research proposal. I would say more you write it, more you explain it in a graphically attractive manner, better it is. In my case, I had, I think 6 figures and 7 tables or something. So you shouldn't be writing something which is like just text after text after text. Nobody likes the text. The human is a visual animal. Everyone likes to see something which is kind of either visually appealing, or it is properly structured in the table. So try to sum up your ideas, try to sum up your figures, everything, your thoughts in the table or in the figures. Next comes the impact part. So the impact part is it's about your career. I would be super quick on this. So impact, how does it impact your career? How can you get benefited out of it? How does the society get benefited out of this? How does the scientific community get benefited out of this? What is the environmental front which will be beneficial? How it will be economically viable? How would it be economically beneficial to European Union at large? How can it influence the policymakers, whatever the outcome of your research would be? And whether all those things, can you make it quantifiable? So this is something, everything, as you can see, it is like, why would you be doing it? Why the society cares? Why the scientific community cares? Why environment should be environmental front should be no, like, why how will it be beneficial to environmental front and everything? So this is again mostly about why part, why should it improve your career and everything. Make sure you, whatever you say, it should be quantifiable. That is key performance indicator. Let me just give you an example about it. So this is again something which I had used in my, this table in my proposal. So as you can see, I gave some key indicators also. I told them that this is the activity, the name of the activity, who will be the target audience, who will get impacted, and how will I quantify whether they get impacted or not. So this is something that I have given this kind of some matrices. So it is not something, I could have written like 10 lines about the about this EC service, this. You can imagine it would not look like much structured. And as I was telling you, you have to write something which looks structured, and that shows that you have given some due thought. You are also coming with some good preparation, and you have some structured ideas already in your mind. More structured you are, the better person will understand, and the better the reviewer will understand, the better your chances are to get the selection. And the last but not the least, that is the implementation part. And the implementation part basically covers the month-wise planning of this work packages, objective, deliverable, milestone, report to EU. So everything that you are seeing it here, you have to compile it in a way that could explain what would be your objective, deliverable, and you have to show how will it be done. You have to provide some methodology, but again, as I told you, the methodology doesn't need to be very, very specific. You have to give overall methodology. You have to identify some potential risk, of course, when you are proposing something. So it's not a foolproof plan. You may have to go somewhere here or there might be some risk. So you have to identify some low risk, some moderate risk, some very high risk, and then you have to tell them, okay, I identify in my entire research proposal, whatever I have written in the excellence part, there is something which can go wrong, terribly wrong, that I would put in high risk, and which can go something okay wrong, so like moderate, and may not go wrong or should not go wrong, so that is like a low risk. And if there is anything which you think that it can go wrong, so what are your plan B and C? So this is something about the implementation part, that you have to tell them the potential risk and the countermeasures that you will be taking if the excellence part doesn't go well. This also shows, this part also shows that you are confident, and you are not just overconfident, and you are flexible to change the path if the research demands. Support from the host lab, which is like a scientific part. So again, you have to explain what kind of support you will be getting. And another thing is support from the host institute. So you will be, this is like non-scientific part. So basically host lab, it means the infrastructure thing. In the non-scientific part, it will be like, how will people put you on the board, what kind of let's say, if you have to be guided about the patent system, so if there are some workshops already happening in your university, to try to compile all those things. And there must be some project officer that you should get in contact with wherever you want to apply, and that will be telling you all kind of this workshops, some training programs, some practical courses that are happening, and that you can include in this implementation part. Let me just give you the example about it. So this is like, this is my lab. I just told them again, as you can see, I have given some kind of numbers that how much it would be happening. It is not just I would be discussing it with my supervisor and that's all. It is like concrete. I would be discussing it monthly, and I've tried to tell them all in the tabulated format. The good part of table, the good part of showing it in table is it looks structured, it looks good, and at the same time it takes the less space if you have formatted it correctly. So make sure that you also, as I was telling you again and again, try to make it visually appealing, try to put it in the graphical form, try to put it in the tabulated form. And final, and that is like common mistakes. Template is god, do not mess with that, do not mess with that. I have seen many people, many reviewers, writing very strongly about how some Marie Curie proposal comes up with, when they have already written the text size should be, let's say, 12, and they just make it 10, so that they could write it more, and that is kind of unfair advantage to others who just use the right template. So they just get pissed off, and eventually they do not even like it. And reviewers do not like it, so no matter how your great idea is, your idea will get into the dustbin, unfortunately. So better you never mess with their template, you always follow the template, which shows how much the margin could be, how much the spacing could be, everything. So please make sure that you read the template. This is something that I have already told you. I wouldn't say it again. This is something also I have told you. Please do not use too many technical jargons. There should be, of course, I do not expect, and nobody expects at the postdoctoral stage, or even if you are writing for doctoral stage, nobody expect that there will be some formatting error, grammatical error, or annotation error. When somebody opens the proposal, it shouldn't look like, you have just made it in a week or something. It should look like you have given a due thought, you have been writing and working on it for at least for some few weeks, and that's when you have submitted it. So it shouldn't look very childish. Eventually, again, even if your idea is great, this impression will lead you to something like, this guy doesn't seem to be serious, forget about it. How will he be serious about the project itself? Not enough weightage to tech and implementation. So yes, this putting together this holds like 50%, but in my opinion, this is the most important part, and you should not shy away writing about the implementation part. How will you actually implement it? And that involves the infrastructure of your lab, and that involves the infrastructure of your host institute or university where you want to be in. Flexible and willingness to accept the risk, and that I have already covered in the implementation part. And this is something you should avoid. Like, I think it is just my typo, I just wrote it again. So with this, I would like to thank you very much for your attention, and I'm open to the questions, please.
Thank you so much, sir, for that insightful session. I'm sure everyone here found it extremely valuable and motivating. So, yeah, question and answer session begin. Participants can either raise hand or drop the question in the chat.
Hi, from where can we get the template?
The template is always there on the website with every time they give the this, what do you say, the advertisement, they always tell you the template also. So, and you should not rely on my template what I use, because they might change the template which were there in 2023. It's not necessary it will be there in 2026. So you should find it on the website.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Abdul, you can go ahead.
Hello, Dr. Priyank. Thank you for this great presentation. I just wanted to ask whether there are any specific.
You are less audible to us. Maybe I can read your question on behalf of yours. So he has asked about, are there any specific fields which are promoted in this program, or is it open to all fields?
Technically, it is open to all fields, including social science. So it is not purely this science, like only physics, chemistry, math, bio. So it is technically open to all. But what I wanted to emphasize here is you should see what are the Horizon Europe's agenda or objective, and you should also see what kind of fellowships have been getting the attention in the past. You can always check on the internet what kind of fellowship have been awarded in the past. So that's how you can strategize in which area you should be writing. So in my understanding, there are some specific fields like climate change. Let's say they want to restore some the ocean. So again, that is relevant to some pollution thing. Apart from that, there could be something like they want to make Europe cancer free. So let's say the cancer. So everything that you can see what kind of objectives are there, and what kind of fellowships have been awarded in the past. That can give you a fair idea.
Yeah, so Aman has asked again, is there any minimum?
Basically, if you are writing for postdoctoral fellowship, it should show some kind of credibility that you already know the field, and that credibility comes from the publication only. Yeah, of course, the first author publication, more first author publication, the better it is. But from the guideline perspective, there is no specific number. But just to tell the credibility, yes, it is better to have first author publication as much as you can have, or as high impact factor journal you can have, that just to showcase the credibility.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, so like I wanted to know if there is a time window within which we need to apply for this postdoctoral fellowship after our PhD.
I think after thesis submission, if I'm not mistaken, uh, I think you can apply, and up to 8 years of the thesis submission or viva, whatever. I think you should just see it. But as far as I remember, it is somewhere from thesis submission to 8 years of thesis submission.
Okay, okay. And like once if it is getting rejected, so will they allow us to apply again, or so one rejection is always a rejection for further?
No, no, you can always apply again. That is a possibility. There is also something called seal of excellence. In that case, you can, for example, in my case, if I remember it well, my fellowship, I had got, I think, 95.8% percentage or percentile, whatever they give, and the last cutoff went up to 94. So basically, from 94 to, let's say, 90 percentile, whoever have got it, they give a kind of seal of excellence, and through seal of excellence, you can go somewhere and apply in another university, and you can just show that, okay, your proposal was also worthy enough. So this is something that can be done. But if you are beyond seal of excellence also, there is always a scope to apply again, and they do not just reject based on the fact that you have applied before and you are not welcome. It is always better to improvise the idea and write it, apply it another time with the betterment, but it's not a problem at all.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, doctor.
Welcome.
Yeah, we have one more question from Prakash. What about the citations? I see many of those who got fellowship has good number of citations. Could you please comment on that?
uh I don't know. I also had like 200 citation or 250 citation by the time I was applying. Uh, so I really cannot say about it, to be honest, because I have no another metrics to compare. Specifically, if you ask me, the guideline from MSc guideline, they do not say anything very specific about number of citations or number of publications you should be at least having. So, but experientially, I would say I was having, when I was applying, I was having total six articles, in which four were the first author articles, and one was book chapter, and one was, I think, mid author article. So, and I was having 250 citations. So I just have my own metrics to compare with. So I'm sorry, I cannot comment really on it whether they see through this or not.
Or if you know some of your colleague who are getting this fellowship, if you know their citations, if you could compare with those.
Yeah, I know some of the people who got the fellowship, but to be honest, I never went to
You
their
didn't check.
profile and compared it. I didn't
Okay.
check actually, so I don't know whether they actually had the citations or number of papers or not. But I would often say that this is always the combination of three. The first thing is, whatever you are proposing, whether you have some credibility about it or not, like whether they find you credible, and that credibility comes from the paper or citations. The second thing is the credibility of your supervisor. Whatever you propose, whether that lab has enough infrastructure or the expertise. And third thing comes from whatever you want to apply or proposing, whether the overall the organization should also be capable enough. It cannot be just like I don't want to just give you a random thing, but let's say a university which nobody asked in. Like everywhere there are some universities which nobody asked for. In India also there are some universities which you wouldn't have heard of. And if you are coming from a university in Europe, even if it is Europe, it may be better from Indian perspective, but from European perspective, it is okayish. And if you are coming from that, so that can again reduce your chances. So always look for these three things: credibility of your own through your papers, credibility of your supervisor, and credibility of the organization, the capability or credibility, whichever you want to say.
Mhm. Yeah, Shivamji, you can ask a question. You have raised your hand.
Yeah. Hi, am I audible?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you are.
Yeah. Priyank, thank you for the presentation. And insightful. So I just wanted to ask, what about the patent applications, something that is out of the PhD domain? How do they cater to this particular requirement? And one more quick question, what is the one point I had seen in your slides about interdisciplinary research and nature. So just wanted to hear your views in this regard.
Regarding patent, I had two patents which were published by the time I was doing it. So I was two or three. I think two were published. So I had two patents by the time I was applying for this. Uh, from the different field, I don't like again from Marie Curie Fellowship. They have no requirement per se that you should be having again the patent or paper or citation. So there is nothing specific, but I don't know whether like I think if you have the patent, it is always a brownie point, and they see okay you have done something which should be really original, and that's why you eventually file the patent. But whether it is from the same field or different field, I think they can just assume okay this guy should be having something novel ideas, and no matter whether the field is different or not, he's having patent good enough. So if
So
I
those
were a
can be
reviewer, yeah.
so those can be outside the PhD domain, right? Like I have TRL 6 up to 6, uh, uh, TRL level 6. So those can be outside, though, that is fine.
Yeah,
Maybe
see,
he wanted to ask.
better if it,
Maybe he wanted to ask whether if he's applying for a X domain, but if he has patent on
mhm.
some Y domain, is it really going to help or is it nominal only? If I'm not wrong, he's wanted to say.
having applying for yeah applying for X domain and having the patent in X domain, again it's a matter of, as I was telling you, a matter of credibility. It adds the credibility, but having the patent in domain Y still gives you the credibility that you must be having some your own original thoughts. So that is what a person can understand. Okay, credibility will cannot be about the same field, but at least you are a genuine, or you are a person with the novel thoughts, with some great ideas which is relevant to the industry, that could be there. So
Okay.
that is something that can add, I would say. Regarding
Okay.
interdisciplinary, I think that is what your second question was, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
So they explicitly write that if it is interdisciplinary or if it is multidisciplinary, it is better. So if you could do something like this, it is really good. In my case, it was like the amalgamation of this AI thing, the enzyme thing, and the chemical thing. So this is what I had proposed, and the most novel part about the project was this AI thing only, because this is something which the world is still exploring, how to engineer the enzyme in such a way that it could be potentially stable, thermostable, pH stable everywhere. So this is also still a novel part, even if somebody writes it in that way. I recently been to this GRC conference in USA like 6 or 7 months before, and I saw that people are still struggling to have this protein engineering part. So I would say if you could do something like this kind of interdisciplinary, doesn't necessarily need to align with this AI theory, AI concept, but better if it has some multiple disciplines. I would say it is better.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we have one more question. What about the recommendations and interview? Are they also the part of application, and how do they actually benefit?
Uh, yeah, so for recommendation part, I'm glad there was no recommendation part, because as I told you in my presentation, I wasn't having some good connection with my Charles University supervisor. So if it was a matter of recommendation, he would never recommend me for this. Or so it is better there is nothing like that. And for the interview part also, there is no interview. So it is the only proposal which is being judged by the reviewers, and that's all. Either you get something or you don't get something. So just your proposal is the idea that you have to pitch in.
Okay, any more question do we have
Uh,
for Priyank?
I I see another question
Yeah,
by
Tulika.
Tulika Garg.
Can we apply for this MSCA while doing job in industry after PhD?
I don't think that's the problem. It can be very much applied, and I think if you try to, if I were at your place, I would even try to project it in a such a way that how my industry job would empower me to go back to the academia and devise a strategy which is actually relevant to the industry, rather than just assuming or hypothesizing that it might work for the industry. So I would portray it in that way. So that's not a problem if you are doing a job in industry. I think you can even if you are writing a project which is translational in nature, it can actually create the value to what you are doing in industry.
Okay. So any other question? If not, let us wind up the session. Let us thank our speaker today. Thank you so much, Priyank, for accepting our invitation and for this wonderful presentation. Personally speaking, I like the part that you have explained nicely all the key points of proposal, from excellence to impact to implementation. That was wonderful. And I'm sure that everyone has got some of the key points they will be applying definitely for their proposal. And all the very best for your future. And thank you so much again. And thank you so much for the audience also, that they have come for this holiday. Do we have holiday here, Ram Navami? So still they have appeared here. Thank you so much for that. And all the very best for your
Yeah.
future endeavors and future appointments. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Oman, and thank you entire community. I'm really glad to be here, and I wish you all the very best in the Marie Curie Proposal Fellowship.
Most welcome. Most welcome. Most welcome.
Okay.
Bye bye. Have a
Bye-bye.
good night.
Bye bye. Have a great evening. Yeah.